Imagine a city where tourists snap selfies in front of majestic mountains while locals barricade themselves in fear. A place where the same streets that welcome millions of visitors annually run red with the blood of gang violence. This isn't the plot of a dystopian novel. It's the reality of Cape Town, South Africa. In this documentary, we peel back the postcard perfect veneer of one of Africa's most popular tourist destinations to reveal a dark underbelly that most visitors never see. From the opulent waterfront to the bullet-riddled walls of the Cape Flats, we'll show you two sides of a city divided by wealth, race, and a history of apartheid that continues to shape its present. As we approach the iconic Table Mountain, its flat top looming over the city like a sentinel, we're greeted by a scene straight out of a travel brochure. The bustling V&A waterfront teems with life, tourists sipping cocktails at trendy bars, families browsing craft markets, and luxury yachts bobbing gently in the harbour. This is the Cape Town that millions of visitors flock to each year. A playground of natural beauty and urban sophistication. Cape Town has long been hailed as one of the world's top tourist destinations. Every corner seems designed to delight visitors. The tourism industry here is booming, with millions pouring in annually to experience the city's charms. But beneath this picturesque facade lies a stark reality that most tourists never glimpse. While visitors revel in the safety and comfort of the city's affluent areas, just a few miles away, local residents face a very different daily experience. The contrast is jarring. As tourists snap selfies atop Signal Hill, residents in nearby townships barricade themselves in fear of gang violence. The economic impact of tourism on Cape Town is undeniable. The industry contributes significantly to the local economy, creating jobs and driving infrastructure development. Hotels, restaurants, and tour operators thrive on the steady influx of visitors. Yet, this prosperity often fails to trickle down to the city's most vulnerable residents. The economic divide between tourist areas and townships remains as wide as ever, a lingering legacy of apartheid-era spatial planning. Statistics paint a clear picture of Cape Town's tourism success. In a typical year, the city welcomes over 5 million visitors, generating billions in revenue. The iconic Table Mountain aerial cableway alone can see up to 800,000 riders annually. These numbers translate into a substantial economic boost, with tourism accounting for a significant portion of the Western Cape's GDP. But these impressive figures mask a troubling paradox. While tourists perceive Cape Town as a safe, idyllic destination, local residents often live in fear. The same city that draws millions with its beauty is also home to some of South Africa's most dangerous neighborhoods. This dichotomy is at the heart of Cape Town's complex identity, a city of breathtaking vistas and brutal realities existing side by side. As we venture beyond the tourist hotspots, signs of quote-unquote this other Cape Town begin to emerge. The manicured lawns and upscale boutiques give way to overcrowded informal settlements. The sound of waves crashing on scenic beaches is replaced by the occasional pop of gunfire in the distance. This is the Cape Town that tourists don't see. A world of daily struggles, endemic poverty, and rampant crime. The divide between these two realities is stark and unmistakable. In the span of just a few miles, one can travel from the heights of luxury to the depths of deprivation. The pristine streets of the city bowl stand in sharp contrast to the dusty, potholed roads of the Cape Flats. While tourists enjoy world-class amenities, township residents often lack access to basic services like running water and electricity. Yet, just a stone's throw from these tourist havens, a parallel universe exists. In the sprawling townships of the Cape Flats, residents wake to a reality so different, it might as well be on another planet. What does a typical morning look like in a place where violence is as common as breakfast and hope is a luxury few can afford? In Manenberg, one of the most notorious areas of the Cape Flats, dawn breaks with an eerie silence. Residents cautiously emerge from their homes, eyes scanning the streets for any sign of danger. The air is thick with tension, a constant reminder of the violence that could erupt at any moment. This is not the Cape Town that graces travel brochures or Instagram feeds. It's a world where survival is the daily goal, and fear is a constant companion. The Cape Flats, a vast expanse of low-lying land southeast of Cape Town city centre, is home to South Africa's most marginalized communities. Created during the apartheid era as a dumping ground for non-white residents, these areas continue to bear the scars of that brutal policy. Overcrowded, underdeveloped, and plagued by poverty, the Cape Flats represent the dark underbelly of Cape Town's glittering facade. Life here is a constant battle against overwhelming odds. The threat of violence looms large, with gang warfare a regular occurrence. Residents describe their neighborhoods as quote-unquote lawless zones, where shootings, robberies, and other violent crimes are disturbingly common. Sandra Fouché, a mother who lost her son Kyle in a senseless act of violence, shares her heartbreaking story. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's no justice here, no hope for us. The challenges extend far beyond personal safety. Basic services that most take for granted are often luxuries in the Cape Flats. Many homes lack reliable access to electricity and running water. The streets are poorly maintained, with potholes and debris, creating hazards for pedestrians and vehicles alike. These conditions stand in stark contrast to the well-maintained infrastructure of Cape Town's tourist areas, highlighting the deep-seated inequality that plagues the city. Economic opportunities are scarce, with unemployment rates in the Cape Flats reaching alarming levels. This lack of legitimate work options creates a fertile breeding ground for criminal activity. Many residents, particularly young people, find themselves drawn into gang life out of desperation or a misguided search for belonging. The gangs offer a twisted form of stability in an otherwise chaotic world, providing income, protection, and a sense of identity to those who feel abandoned by society. The extent of gang control in these townships is staggering. Rival groups like the Americans and Hard Livings carve up territories, turning entire neighborhoods into battlegrounds. Their influence extends far beyond the criminal underworld, seeping into every aspect of daily life. From extorting local businesses to controlling access to housing and jobs, the gangs wield power that often surpasses that of local authorities. This pervasive gang presence creates a cycle of violence that's difficult to break. Children grow up surrounded by crime, with few positive role models to emulate. Schools become recruitment grounds, and playgrounds double as drug markets. The normalization of violence warps the community's sense of what's possible, making it hard for many to envision a life beyond the confines of their troubled neighborhoods. Amidst this bleak reality, a new power structure has emerged. It's one where gang leaders wield more influence than elected officials, and where loyalty is bought with addictive substances rather than promises of a better future. The story of how Cape Town's most notorious gangs rose to power reads like a twisted fairy tale, one where the villains are the only ones who seem to win. In March of this year, the Cape Flats was rocked by a series of shootings that left 14 people dead and 10 seriously injured in Manenberg alone. This brutal display of violence wasn't just another gang skirmish. It was a stark reminder of the iron grip that gangs hold over these communities. The incident sent shockwaves through Cape Town, forcing residents and authorities alike to confront the harsh reality of life in the city's most dangerous neighborhoods. At the heart of this violent ecosystem are gangs like the Americans and Hard Livings. These aren't just loosely organized groups of criminals. They're sophisticated organizations with hierarchies, territories, and economies of their own. The Americans, led by figures like Devon, have flooded neighborhoods with drugs such as teak, a local version of methamphetamine. This strategy serves a dual purpose. It creates a dependent customer base while also fueling the gang's revenue stream. The economies of gang life in Cape Town are as brutal as they are lucrative. Gang members can earn between £500 to £1,000 per month from drug sales alone, with additional income coming from extortion of local businesses. In a region plagued by high unemployment and limited economic opportunities, these sums are enough to entice many young people into the gang lifestyle. Recruitment tactics employed by these gangs are particularly insidious, often targeting the most vulnerable members of society, the youth. Young dealers are used to carry drugs and weapons, exploiting the fact that they are less likely to face arrest than their older counterparts. This cynical strategy not only provides the gangs with expandable foot soldiers, but also perpetuates the cycle of violence and criminality across generations. Former gang members paint a grim picture of life within these organizations. One ex-member, speaking on condition of anonymity, shared, "Once you're in, there's no way out. The gang becomes your family, your provider, and your protector. But it's all an illusion. In reality, you're just a pawn in their game, disposable and replaceable." The prevalence and power of these gangs raise serious questions about the effectiveness of law enforcement in Cape Town. Despite efforts to combat gang violence, the police often find themselves outgunned and overwhelmed. The gang's influence extends far beyond the criminal underworld, seeping into every aspect of community life. From controlling access to housing and jobs, to influencing local politics, these organizations have become a shadow government in many areas of the Cape Flats. Perhaps most troubling is the attitude towards incarceration among gang members. Far from being a deterrent, imprisonment is often seen as a rite of passage, a way to elevate one's status within the gang hierarchy. This mindset renders traditional law enforcement strategies largely ineffective, forcing authorities to grapple with new approaches to tackle the deeply entrenched gang culture. While gangs view prison as a badge of honor, those tasked with enforcing the law face a stark reality. In Cape Town, a police officer's badge might as well be a target. But it's not just about the danger. It's about a system pushed to its breaking point. The question is, how do you police a city where the criminals often have the upper hand? For Cape Town's law enforcement officers, each day is a high-stakes gamble as the sun rises over the city's diverse landscape, from affluent coastal suburbs to the sprawling townships of the Cape Flats. Police officers gear up for another shift in one of Africa's most dangerous urban environments. The contrast between the city's picturesque tourist spots and its crime-ridden neighborhoods is mirrored in the daily experiences of these officers, who must navigate both worlds with equal vigilance. The challenges faced by Cape Town's police force are multifaceted and daunting. Resource limitations plague the department, with officers often lacking the equipment and manpower needed to effectively combat well-armed gang members. Corruption within the ranks further complicates matters, eroding public trust and hampering efforts to build community relationships. These internal issues, combined with the external threat of gang violence, create a perfect storm that leaves law enforcement struggling to maintain order. In response to these challenges, Cape Town's police department has been forced to innovate. Community policing initiatives aim to build trust and gather intelligence, while specialized units target high crime areas. However, these efforts are often undermined by the sheer scale of the problem. The gang's superior firepower and entrenched positions in many neighborhoods make traditional policing strategies ineffective at best and dangerous at worst. The human cost of policing Cape Town is staggering. In a single month, 2 officers were killed during pursuit operations, highlighting the extreme risks faced by those on the front lines. The constant threat of violence takes a toll on morale, contributing to high attrition rates within the force. Many officers, facing daily danger and limited support, choose to leave the profession, further depleting an already strained department. Perhaps the most alarming aspect of Cape Town's policing crisis is the extent to which law enforcement is outgunned by the gangs they're tasked with combating. While police officers are equipped with standard issue firearms, gang members often wield military-grade weapons. This disparity in firepower puts officers at a severe disadvantage in confrontations, forcing them to adopt more cautious tactics that can limit their effectiveness in high crime areas. The police's struggle to maintain order has given rise to alternative forms of community protection. Citizen militias, such as the TMC, have emerged as a response to the perceived inadequacy of official law enforcement. These groups, often composed of ex-military personnel and armed with personal firearms, conduct their own patrols and interventions. In the past year alone, these militias have seized over 1,200 weapons during their operations, a testament to both the scale of the problem and the community's desperation for solutions. However, the rise of vigilantism brings its own set of problems. While these groups may provide a sense of security in some areas, they operate outside the bounds of legal authority and accountability. Their presence further complicates the already challenging task of policing Cape Town, creating potential conflicts with official law enforcement and raising questions about the long-term implications for the rule of law in the city. As we've seen, Cape Town stands as a stark microcosm of global inequality. The city's breathtaking beauty masks a brutal reality for many of its residents. This paradox isn't unique to Cape Town. It's a reflection of the widening wealth gap we see worldwide. So, what's our responsibility as tourists? The truth is, we can't simply turn a blind eye to the complex realities of the places we visit. We need to look beyond the surface impressions and engage with the full story of our destinations. The question is, how can we travel more ethically and consciously? Perhaps it starts with educating ourselves, supporting local communities, and advocating for change. After all, true appreciation of a place means understanding its struggles as well as its charm.